Good afternoon, everyone. Myself is Sanket Pavadia, and today's my presentation topic is media culture, power, globalization, and politics, identity, and contemporary views. This is my academic information and presentation details. Table of contents. This following content we will discuss in the presentation. Let's begin with a research question and hypothesis. My research question is: how does media influence the construction of political identity and power relation through media culture in the contemporary world? And my hypothesis is a digital transformation media into a global ideological apparatus that both reinforce dominant power structure and enables new forms of culture resistance and a hybrid politics identity. Media does not merely reflect the globalization, it actively shapes culture, meanings, and politics consciousness across societies. So when we see the media, so we have to understand the digital globalization and media culture. Let me introduce briefly both. Uh, the digital globalization, the term is used to describe the process of digital connectedness and interdependences that been greatly accelerated and facilitated by digital technologies and the internet. It refers to the global interaction of a digital system, data, and information flows, and transcending the geopolitical boundaries and transforming various aspects of society, economy, culture, and communication. And media culture. So, in a media culture, refers to the diverse system of channels and communications such as print, broadcast, digital, and social platforms, through the which ideas, information, and cultural meanings are produced, circulated, and interpreted. And in a cultural studies, media is understood as a space of representation where ideology, values, and identities are constantly created and constanted. Uh, so let's start. The media is a Marxist approach. So when we talk about the power of a media, so we see the Marxist approach. So it is divided into three approaches: structuralist approach, political economic approach, and cultural approach. So let's discuss one. So a structuralist approach to examine the sign in the media to show that the media is the inclination to serve one of the dominant group. So those are the dominant group of the media. And another is a political economic approach that see the economic factor influence on politics. Also, we can see in the media. And the third one is a culturalist approach that see that the media has the powerful impact in the constructing public awareness. And this photo we can see the both pluralist versus Marxist. So in the media, we can see the two type of differences: pluralistic and Marxist. And key points that we can see in the creative, in a pluralist, we can see the creative, free, and original information news in a pluralist media, while Marxist view, we can see the production of standardized and control. So someone very dominant over the media, we can see in the Marxist approaches. And contents, we can see the diverse and responsive, while Marxism, we can see the selective and specific by owners. Studies of media structuralism, economic and political media. And so in a media structuralism, so as we all know about Sashore said his contribution on structuralism, that he give the idea of how we can see in the structure view. So in a media, we can see the language includes the language parallel, stigmatic, paradigmatic, synchronics, diachronics, and signified concept of language in the media. And in a media also the language is a part of social life, and it's also the function of determined by the rules built by the society. Another is economic political media. So Moscow defined the political economy as the study of social relationship, especially the power relation, that construct the interconnection between the production, distribution, and consumption of communication resource. And another thing is Golding and Murdoch describe it as the interplay between the economic and symbolic dimension. And another three approaches of media, that instrumental, structuralist, and constructive. In instrumental media is a tool of the ruling class, and structuralist media shaped by structure, power, and institutional rules. And constructive media is influenced by social and cultural factor, not rigid structure. So this is of the media structure and power politics. three metaphors for media. In one article, I found that the three metaphors of media. First one is a medium as a vessel. So media is a vessel to continue that hold the send important content. So in a media, we can see the how their view focus on messages content not only from the medium itself. For example, the newspaper, television, internet is a carrier of the information. Another metaphor is a medium as a language. So in this we can see the each medium has its own grammar set in codes and expressing their understanding meaning, and the media also the language that shape the how ideas are formed and communicated, and media change with the symbol style and structure unique eh, in each mediums. In a language we can say that this kind of information. And last one is medium as an environment. So each medium creates a unique social environment that shape the how experience the world. And media is also not just as a tool but is the transformation social behavior and relationship. And the digital media blurs the boundaries between public and private, local and global life we can see in the medium as an environment. Another thing is a Stotthol's concept of cultural studies. In media, we can see the cultural practice as signifying practice on a media. So cultural practice in a society produce the meaning, and culture is understood to share social meaning, how people interpret the world and life. And the language is not a neutral medium for informing meaning. It is created through the social system of science. We can see in the Stotthol's concept of cultural studies. And another thing is a representation, how the representation in a media on a media. Representation is show the how world is socially constructed and represent to us in a meaningful way. And meanings are attached to the sounds, writing, images, and symbols in a media culture. And another thing we can see in the media that it is emphasis on materialism and non-reductionism, showing culture has its own rules and practice beyond the economics. Articulation. In the articulation of media we can see the theorize the relationship among the components of social information, and it's connect the culture, politics, economy, uh, explaining how people and meaning are linked. And Stottholz also use the articulation to show the how culture takes expressing the reproduction of social relationship. Cultural study and power structure. So in a cultural study and power structure, we can see the how power connect with social relationship. Power is always at every level of social relationship, and cultural study examine the how power operates through the everyday culture, language, and representation. One dialogue, one article I found that it is that notes that media culture provides a material through which people construct their sense, class, and race and gender. However, cultural study emphasizes the resistance, showing how individual subculture represent the challenge dominant meaning. Uh, and media is ideological parties is also connect with how dominance of media or of society. Globalization and the reconfiguration culture. So in a globalization and reconfiguration of culture, we can see the globalization is not a simply hegemonic. It is a two-way process where global and local culture interaction. This interaction produced by hybrid identity, where global trends merge with local interaction. So in a globalization, we can see the merge of global and local in a globalization. And another thing is we found that in a Bollywood films today adopted global aesthetic while narrating local issues. And globalization also therefore it's directional. It's a reconfiguration where both global and local continuously reshape each other current society. And one another contemporary example I found that Sabarmati report. It is also example of the how politics control over media. In a film we can see so the film serves as a contemporary example of political influence over media, and it's explored the how narrative about the 2002 Gujarat train burning are shaped by political power and censorship. And the film demonstrates the media is not always objective; it's offer the reflective government control and ideological framing. Through the storytelling, movie raises and questioning about truth representation, nation identity, showing how media constructed collective memories and political consciousness. Conclusion. So ultimately, the media we can see the how in a both way how power controlled by society and other things, and In a media study, we also see the connection between the power, culture, and identity influencing how ideas are produced and understood through representation. And ideological media not only reflect reality but also creates its meaning. It is central to understanding cultural and politics today. These are my references. Thank you, everyone.